Boruto episode 90 review. Alright guys, this episode was fire, flames, fuego, man. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in this episode, man, and I gotta tell you guys, it wasn't anything too crazy in terms of like animation and art, but let's be honest, the storytelling and the choreography and all of these fights, like, no one really expected half of the stuff that happened in this episode to really go down, and I'm super excited to talk about this. Now, first things first, what I do have to talk about is Sarada finally showing up. Now, I did make a video recently, I did say how Sarada was kind of getting a little bit washed, but we do understand, like, hey, it's not as of right now, so Sarada did have a little bit of time to shine. Of course, early in this arc, we all thought that Sarada should be getting a little bit more screen time, especially me. Some of you guys didn't necessarily see it, but in this episode, the writers of Boruto definitely did Sarada a lot of justice when she did go up against Kirara. Now, the thing about Kirara and Sarada, I feel like a lot of people are going to automatically make this assumption. Sarada is looking a lot like Itachi mainly because she did use the Genjutsu to break Kirara's Genjutsu, which was something insane. I mean, Kirara's Genjutsu basically caught multiple people, and it looked like they couldn't even do anything. For example, the one high-ranking official of the Hidden Stone Village, he got caught in one of Kirara's Genjutsus. So I'm not even completely sure how strong Kirara's Genjutsu is, but let's be honest, if it can catch a Jonin into a Genjutsu, it's probably definitely going to be very decent. But Sarada just completely debuted her Genjutsu and destroyed it, and basically put Kirara into a Genjutsu like that. And I thought that was very good. Now, especially, I do want to say, mainly because it did go on to basically show us exactly what Kirara wanted to do. A lot of people are going to compare that to Shisui's Genjutsu, where when he has a Mangekyo sharingan, usually he'll put somebody into a Genjutsu, and what they'll do is they'll basically live out their life until they get released from the Genjutsu, thinking that they got everything that they wanted. And of course, Kirara supposedly got everything that she wanted in terms of her basically defeating Sarada, but that wasn't the situation. Of course, we understand that Sarada ended Kirara, especially after that jutsu that she did steal from one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, which was a very good addition to Sarada's repertoire. Part of me still feels like Sarada needs to fight some other characters with a lot of great jutsus, so Sarada could just steal their jutsu, because obviously, as we've seen, Sarada is very good and adept at stealing other people's jutsus. Like, we already see it right now. Now, Sarada was a big part of this episode, but there's a lot more to talk about, and one of the biggest parts about this episode, no pun intended, was garaga, Boruto's summoning jutsu. Now, at first, I kind of thought that, hey, Boruto was going to have to eventually summon Garaga again, but I didn't necessarily think that he would pretty much show up right here. Now, this all started when Kirara basically caught Boruto and Sarada, and they were pretty much trapped. In my opinion, I feel like Kirara didn't necessarily need to summon the big blood. I feel like the little Akuta could have handled Boruto and Sarada, but she basically said, all right, the little homies, y'all got to go back home. And to be honest, I thought it was curtains at that, but of course, as soon as Kirara summoned that, I automatically thought that Boruto was going to eventually summon Garaga, but you kind of got to see some sort of character development in Garaga and Boruto's relationship. As they always go along, you kind of get to see Garaga warming up to Boruto. Of course, when Boruto first met Garaga, Garaga didn't like Boruto at all. Garaga automatically had this steady image of shinobis in his head, mainly because he did get betrayed, and that story was also extended in this episode right here, when Garaga said, hey, I'm not going to be fighting for you, I'm going to be fighting for what I feel about the shinobis. I'm going to be fighting for my beliefs. And of course, we got that flashback to Garaga's past summoner, and I thought that was a very good addition. Now, another great addition, I thought, Boruto just completely hopped on Garaga's head. Now, if you guys don't know, for summoners and summonings, that is a big deal. For example, the first time where Naruto actually summoned Chief Toad, Chief Toad said, all right, if you stay on my head for the remainder of the day, then I'll accept being summoned by you. And throughout that whole day, Chief Toad was basically jumping around with Naruto on his head, and Naruto had to stay on. So this is like a big thing for summonings, and of course, Boruto managed to stay on. I didn't think it was going to be that, but of course, Garaga didn't like Boruto being on his head, because that just basically symbolizes that the relationship is right there, like it's steady right now. And of course, Garaga doesn't want to admit it, but we all know subliminally, like, hey, that's Boruto's summoning jutsu. Now, in that fight right there, there was multiple things that we do have to talk about. First things first being is the first attack. Now, of course, at first, we just seen Garaga smack this big Akuta with his tail. Now, at first, I'm like, yo, please let this not be the whole fight, just Garaga slapping this guy around with his tail. I want to see a little bit more in-depth action scenes, but we did get some more. Of course, the big blood of the Akuta, he basically turned the tides, and he got Garaga in a situation swear Garaga was basically being swung around like a rag doll. He threw Garaga. I didn't think I'd ever get to see that, Garaga possibly being beaten, man, because they did say that Garaga was like the bully of the Ryuchi Cave, and we all know the Ryuchi Cave is like Death Valley, like no one gets out of Ryuchi Cave, right? But because Garaga did have a hard time dealing with this big Akuta, we got to see some teamwork between Boruto and Garaga, and of course Boruto using his rasengan, the vanishing rasengan, and he's the only guy that could possibly use it. That just made that scene even better, and it was definitely amazing. After that, of course, we got to see Garaga just completely constrict the big Akuta, and it was curtains after that. Sarada did her work. Sarada completely destroyed Kirara, and afterwards, all we had to really worry about was Mitsuki and Sekiei. Now, the Mitsuki and Sekiei thing, we all understood that this was going to be a very emotional scene, man, because Mitsuki and Sekiei, they were pretty much best friends before all this went down. It turns out that we finally get to figure out what Mitsuki's will was. Mitsuki's will was to basically save other synthetic human beings from a life that they didn't necessarily have to serve one, mainly because Mitsuki had the keys. Mitsuki knew what was gonna have these guys stay alive for a very long time. And it's kind of sad, mainly because Mitsuki didn't necessarily complete his will. Sekiei did die. Now, I said this multiple times and I'm saying it again, it was a very emotional scene, but I ain't cry because I'm a thug. But I do have to give it up to some of the Boruto writers in this episode, mainly because, you know, they have a tendency to have people stay alive. Ryogi is still alive. Shin Uchiha is still alive. The fake seven hidden swordsmen of the mist are still alive. So just because of characters like that, we kind of understand that the Boruto writers don't necessarily kill off a lot of the characters or a lot of the enemies that Boruto and everybody else do come across. And I felt like Sekiei was going to go down the line of the characters that they didn't necessarily kill off, mainly because Mitsuki had such a close bond with Sekiei. But now, I feel like the Boruto writers, they were basically heartless in this episode, and especially going down to the last scene. I mean, of course, Mitsuki did fight Sekiei. When Sekiei did ask Mitsuki, "Are you my friend?" and he extended his hand for like a fist bump, it's like Mitsuki didn't necessarily respond so quickly, so Sekiei didn't really hear what he had to say. But of course, Mitsuki was going to say yes, and Mitsuki was going to give him the fist bump, but it was like it was too late. Sekiei already crumbled. Sekiei already died. Now, as I said, it was a very emotional scene. I didn't cry because I'm a thug, but I could definitely see how some of you guys did actually get super emotional during that scene. And I've been saying this for a very long time. That is the calling for the Boruto writers. They do like to bring out a lot of emotions out of the audience. Now, the ending of this episode gave us a preview, or it gave us some insight about how the next couple of episodes are going to be. First things first, we understand that Lord Ku got his heart. Now, it's not necessarily the heart that they pretty much intended Lord Ku to get. Lord Ku pretty much stole the scientist's heart and pretty much did some patchwork surgery on himself and then put a heart in himself. The heart that he has, bro, I'm telling you guys, it looks disgusting. And just because it looks that disgusting, his design right now looks way better than what he was introduced as, because I'm telling you, the character that he was introduced as looking like he had a hoodie on his head, you could barely see his face, but he just looked like he was a slouch. He looked like he wasn't necessarily anything to be afraid of. But now, Lord Ku right now in episode 91, he looks like a complete boss. Like, he looks finally like a villain that I would be scared of in real life. So I really like how they did make the change of scenery about how Lord Ku actually looked. There's only a couple people that I really did fear in terms of the synthetic human beings out of the whole bunch. The first person I did feel like garnered some actual fear was Kokuyo, and the second person that actually garnered a little bit of fear was going to be Lord Ku. Lord Ku, in my opinion, before the whole surgery thing, he was Kage level. And what made me realize that he was Kage level was that he took down the tsuchikage within seconds. And of course, we didn't necessarily get to see the fight. Of course, we didn't necessarily get to see how much Lord Ku struggled, but it looked like he didn't have to struggle much. It looked like the tsuchikage already knew what time it was. Now, not only that, the times where we actually did get to see Lord Ku do a little bit of action, we seen like he was very good. He was very skilled. He knew exactly what he was doing. It just seems like he was better and he was the boss of everybody else that Onoki did create. The addition of the actual heart, him being an actual real person, is going to make him that much stronger and that much of a beast of a main character that we do have to look forward to Boruto and everybody else fighting. Now, this is setting up. This is looking to Onoki finally getting to fight, or finally having to fight Lord Ku. Now, a lot of you guys in the comment section have been speculating, like, hey, Onoki is going to die. Everybody's saying that Onoki is going to die. In the last episode, Onoki basically refused help from one of the underling Sekiei, and he said, hey, I gotta do this, I gotta handle my business. So just because of that, I gotta agree with y'all. It's looking like Onoki is probably gonna enter a little bit of like a death battle with Lord Ku. I don't feel like Boruto is going to be able to defeat Lord Ku. Sage Mode Mitsuki might be able able to defeat Lord Ku. But I doubt they'll bust out Sage Mode Mitsuki in an arc like this. I feel like this is going to be solely an Onoki arc, and we're finally going to get to see the end of Onoki in the next couple of episodes. It's going to be very emotional, of course, as you guys know. That's the Boruto writer's forte. But I feel like this just sets up for Onoki to take responsibilities of his actions and finally destroy this Lord Ku guy. It's going to be amazing. But I do want to have your input about this situation. Do you guys feel like Onoki is going to eventually die in the next couple of episodes while he's fighting Lord Ku? And another thing is, do you think that if he were to enter like a death battle with Lord Ku, would Onoki win? Because we do understand that Onoki is pretty much old as dirt as of right now. We don't know if Onoki's going to have as much in the tank to handle a character like Lord Ku, especially now where he's in his prime, where he does have a new heart. It's going to be insane. Of course, give me your favorite part about this episode in the comment section below. In my opinion, my favorite part was when Boruto did hop on Garaga's head, because Garaga was like, hey, what are you doing? Like, he didn't really accept Boruto. But of course, we all understood that Boruto was going to eventually stay on his head and pretty much work with Garaga after that. Of course, a lot of the Sarada fans are probably going to point to when Sarada actually put Kirara under a Genjutsu, and I would definitely have to agree with that. That was a very good part of this episode. But again, let me know what you guys think. But it's been your boy Baara, and we out.
It's a knife.
Check my clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols. Reaming my body, clothing no issue. Bitch, you look sick, you need a tissue. You drop a body, I just might bless you. I'm at your sexual, no high cholesterol. Where's Jenny Craig? Bitch, just get sexual.